My name is Chris, and for most of my adult life I thought I was living the American dream. A wife I adored, 2 kids, a house in the suburbs with a lawn I mowed every Saturday. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. It was safe, and I'll be honest, I thought that's what marriage was supposed to be: stability, partnership, a kind of quiet joy. But stability, as I learned, can start to feel like a cage to someone who craves chaos. This is the story of how my wife asked for freedom and how that freedom shattered everything we built. Molly and I met in our late 20s. She was a teacher, warm and full of energy, the kind of woman who lit up a room when she walked in. We married 2 years later, had kids, bought a 3-bedroom house with a porch swing. Evenings were simple. I'd come home from work as an engineer, tired but glad to see her. She'd hand me a mug of tea. We'd put the kids to bed and curl up on the couch with some mindless TV. It wasn't wild, it wasn't cinematic, but it was ours. And I remember thinking, I could do this forever. But people change. And sometimes, they change in ways you can't follow. Around year 10 of our marriage, Molly began to seem distant. Not cold, exactly. Just restless. She said she felt stuck, that her life was predictable, every day the same. Work, dinner, laundry, kids, bed. She wanted more excitement. I tried. I really did. I booked us a trip to the coast. I brought home flowers. I surprised her with little dates, but nothing seemed to touch that restlessness in her eyes. And then one night, she said the words that would unravel us. "Chris, what do you think about open relationships?" At first, I laughed, thinking she was joking. But she wasn't. She told me she still loved me, still wanted our marriage, but she wanted freedom. To explore, to feel alive again. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. My first instinct was to say no. But I was terrified of losing her completely. So instead, I listened. We sat at the kitchen table and drew up rules, like 2 lawyers drafting a contract. No bringing anyone to our home. Absolute honesty about who we were seeing. Family always came first. And if either of us wanted to stop, we stopped. It sounded structured, safe, like we could keep our marriage intact while giving her the space she thought she needed. But rules mean nothing when hearts get involved. At first, it was small things. Molly met a coworker for drinks. She flirted. She came home glowing, a sparkle in her eyes I hadn't seen in years. I tried to ignore the sting in my chest. I even went on a couple of dates myself, though they felt empty, mechanical. I wasn't looking for freedom. I was looking for a way to keep from losing her. But then the small things grew. She started coming home later, claiming she'd stayed at school late, or grabbed dinner with a friend. Her phone never left her side. She smiled at messages she wouldn't show me. And the worst part, every time I asked, she told me I was overthinking, that I was jealous, that I didn't trust her. But wasn't trust the first casualty the moment she asked to share herself with someone else? One night, I woke up at 2 a.m. and saw the glow of her phone. A message lit up the screen. "Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." My chest tightened. My throat went dry. I picked up the phone and stared at those words until they blurred. The next morning, I asked her. She brushed it off. Said it was just flirting. But her voice shook. Her eyes darted away. That was the moment I realized. The rules we set, the promises of honesty, were already gone. Months later, we went to a neighborhood barbecue. Molly showed up in a new dress, hair done, lipstick brighter than usual. She looked stunning, but not for me. I knew at the moment I saw how she scanned the crowd. And then I saw him, a man she'd mentioned once, casually, as just a friend. He walked up, and the way she smiled at him, God. It was a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in years. They stood close, laughing. She touched his arm. And when she caught me watching, she didn't even flinch. Didn't even look guilty. I felt invisible, like I was no longer her husband, just the guy who paid the mortgage. From then on, it was constant tension. I asked questions. She snapped back. She said I was controlling, that I didn't understand, that she deserved to find herself. Find herself. She was my wife, the mother of my children, and she was out there rediscovering life in someone else's bed. Nights grew colder. I slept on the couch more often than not. The kids started asking why mommy and daddy were always fighting. I wanted to hold on, but I could feel her slipping further and further away. One night, she didn't come home. No message, no call, just silence. When she finally walked through the door at sunrise, hair messy, smelling of cologne that wasn't mine, I asked, "Where were you?" She said she'd stayed at a friend's place. No apology, No shame. Just a blank look, like I was the unreasonable one. That was when I knew. This wasn't open. This wasn't freedom. This was betrayal, dressed up in the language of liberation. The final straw came one evening at the same table where we'd made our rules. The kids were asleep. She sat across from me, scrolling her phone, smiling at someone else. And I said, voice shaking, tears threatening, "If you want to be free, Molly, then I set you free." She froze. The phone slipped from her hand. For the first time in months, she cried. She said she loved me, didn't want to lose me, didn't mean for it to go this far. But it was too late. Trust doesn't grow back once it's been set on fire. The divorce was brutal. Papers signed, custody schedules drawn up, the house divided. Molly moved into an apartment. I kept the house. The kids split their time. Later I found out more. That her friend wasn't just a fling. It was a full-blown relationship she had been hiding. He left her as soon as the truth came out. She ended up alone, adrift, exactly where her freedom had taken her. For me, it was months of anger, grief, shame. I blamed myself. Was I not enough? Did I get too boring? Did I let life grind us down? But slowly, painfully, I rebuilt. I started running again, rediscovered hobbies, leaned on friends I'd neglected. And I realized I hadn't been the one to destroy us. I gave love, loyalty, a safe home. She wanted chaos, and chaos always takes more than it gives. I tell this story not for pity, but as a lesson. Open relationships sound exciting. They sound modern, liberating, sexy. But if one partner wants freedom while the other just wants love, it's not openness. It's imbalance. It's a time bomb. Molly got her freedom, but it cost her everything. Her marriage, her stability, her family's respect. And me? I walked away scarred, yes, but stronger. Because sometimes the greatest freedom isn't chasing desire. It's choosing self-respect over betrayal.